Hey friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we're going to be looking at Orly's Sweet Retreats collection. So yes, this collection came out so long ago. It's been many months already and I only just recently picked this collection up myself, maybe about a month ago or more, when Orly was having a really good sale. I just couldn't help myself and grab this. I was kind of on the fence about grabbing it because I thought that this collection was pretty dupeable, at least from first impressions. But yeah, this was also my first time trying Orly's Breathable line. If you're familiar with my channel, I don't really review Orly that often, so I haven't really tried that many of their polishes, I guess, but they've always been their regular original line, I guess. But yeah, I have some thoughts on the Breathable line. So as always, I will save that after comparisons. For now, let's get into the swatches. The first shade we have is Burst Your Bubblegum, and this one is described as a neon pink cream. So obviously I was really excited about this one because it's a pink cream and it's definitely really bright. I don't know if I would really consider it a neon though, but it wants to be for sure. Either way, I was still really impressed with this one. It gave me really great coverage on the first coat. Not quite a one coater, there were still a couple of light streaks here and there, but it definitely was creamy enough to be fully opaque in two coats. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It had such a lovely formula and the color is just so bright, so fun. Definitely getting me in the mood for the Barbie movie too. Next up we have You Sherbet, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and this one is just described as a smooth pastel orange cream. So I really wanted to like this one, and I do for the most part. I love the color, but the formula was a little bit of a miss for me, which was upsetting because on the first coat I thought it was going to be promising enough to be a two-coater. It gave me pretty great coverage on the first coat. As you saw, I had a couple of light spots, but after I did the second coat, I feel like I still had some light spots. I don't know if I went a little too heavy-handed and it just didn't self-level properly or something, but I just found that I needed a third coat to even everything out. It could also be the fact that I do have longer nails. I filmed these a little while ago, so my nails are a little bit shorter now. I think if your nails were even shorter than mine, you might be able to get away with two coats if you are careful with your application. But either way, I still think this color is so pretty for summer. The next shade we have is Sour Time to Shine, and this one is described as a lemon lime cream. So I'm still not quite sure how I feel about this shade because I just don't really love any kind of yellow leaning green, anything that's borderline chartreuse. It just is not really my favorite. This definitely is very much on the yellow side, but I feel like it does have a little bit of a lime neon green quality to it. It honestly is like almost the perfect color of a tennis ball now that I think of it. So I kind of like it. I don't hate it, so that's good, I think. I think it's a really fun color for summer for sure, but yeah, this one, because it is an even lighter color than the last one, it definitely was a little bit of a miss formula-wise again, where it just wasn't self-leveling well on two coats, so I needed a third to even everything out and make things fully opaque. So yeah, while I might not love this one on its own, I definitely like it with the rest of the collection, but you'll have to let me know what you think of this shade. The next shade we have is Give It A Swirl, and this one is described as an aqua pop cream. So I'm not really sure what that description means exactly, but I really love this one. I love these bright sky aqua blues for the summer, and this one is a new favorite. It gave pretty decent coverage on the first coat, not quite as good as Burst Your Bubblegum, for example. This one definitely is a little bit more streaky and sheer on the first coat, but it did self-level and even out beautifully on the second coat. I was a little bit worried, honestly, that it might be a 3-coater, but I don't think you would need that unless your nails were longer or you happen to like doing a lot thinner coats than I do. But yeah, this one is just so stunning. I love how bright it is. The next shade we have is Don't Sweet It, and this one is described as a violet pop cream. So this is definitely another beautiful one. I feel like this had a really beautiful formula. It was like the most creamy and smooth to apply. Obviously here on the first coat, it's still giving decent coverage. I do have this awkward kind of bald spot where some of the polish pulled away, but it was definitely creamy and buttery enough to just be fully opaque on the second coat. And I love how vibrant this shade is. It is just such a beautiful shade of purple. I think I would go as far as saying this is another favorite of mine. And rounding out the collection, we have Taffy To Be Here, and this one is described as a pink lilac cream. So as you probably know by now, I'm not the biggest fan of these borderline pinky purple kind of shades, but I think they're starting to grow on me now that I've swatched a few in the last couple of months. I was really surprised at how much I like this one. I think because personally, this one leans a lot more pink to me. Like, it's definitely very much a cool toned pink. You do get those hints of lilac and purple undertones, but it's still a pink, I think. But yeah, either way, this one had the best formula. I feel like it was just the most creamy and opaque, and another solid 2-coater. And here's a look at the full collection. I think it is just so pretty. I'm obsessed with this bright pastel rainbow lineup, but do we really need 2 pinks? Even though I am a certified pink lover, I think I would have been okay with just having Burst Your Bubblegum, and it would have been nice to see a green instead of Taffy To Be Here, but that's just me. Let me know what you think. Now moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Burst Your Bubblegum and looking at it next to OPI's Makeout-side, which is from their Summer Make the Rules collection. This is definitely the closest pink that I have, but it's still not exactly a dupe. And since that one was described as a neon, I decided to show it next to Cirque's Shopaholic, which is their neon highlighter pink from their Vice collection this year. And it's one of my favorites. Obviously, you can tell that that one is a lot more neon, especially on the nail. But as far as the OPI shade goes, it's definitely more similar in tone, but just a little bit more cooler and white-based. Next for Are You Sherbet, I had to see this next to Olive Ave's Creamsicle. This is the first shade that I thought of, and I was so sure that these were going to be dupes. They definitely are pretty similar, but not exactly dupes in my opinion. I would say that Creamsicle has a little bit more of a peachy, orangey kind of tone to it, while Are You Sherbet leans a little bit more on the yellow side. So they're slightly different, but yeah, I would not call these dupes. I also had to see this next to China Glaze's Tangerine Heat, since it's one of my favorite oranges for this season. This one is definitely even closer than Creamsicle was, so if you have Tangerine Heat, I don't think you would need Are You Sherbet. They're not quite dupes, but they're similar enough that I just don't think you would need both. Next for Sour Time to Shine, I wanted to quickly show this next to Cirque's Cream, also from this year's Vice collection, because that's a true neon lime green cream, so definitely very much on the yellow side. I would say it's even closer to Cirque's Sticky Icky from their Halloween trio release last year. I honestly think this one is still available, even though it was limited edition, and it might still be on sale, so if you're interested, that's there. But I also wanted to see this next to OPI's Stay Out All Bright from the Summer Make the Rules collection. This is probably the closest shade that I have, and I don't know if I would go as far as saying that they're dupes, but they're again very similar, where I don't think you would need both. If I had to choose, I would say the Orly had the slightly better formula. It's obviously kind of hard to tell when I'm doing just a fraction of my nail, but I just like that one the best. And lastly, I wanted to show this next to Olive Ab's Lyra since that one was discontinued, and I was hoping that this would be a dupe for it. They're kind of similar, but not really in my opinion. I would say that Lyra is a little bit more on the green side, so it has more of that lime quality, while Sour Time to Shine is more of that bright lemony yellow. Next, for Give It a Swirl, I wanted to quickly show this next to Olive Ab's LA Looks because that's their bright sky blue kind of shade, but it's much darker than Give It a Swirl, so I was really surprised by this difference. Definitely not dupes. So for some closer color comparisons, I have Color Department's Hydrated, which is another favorite of mine for the season. This definitely looks really similar in the bottle, but they look different on the nail, just wait. And I also wanted to show this next to Mooncat's Sinking Feeling from their Technicolor Dreams collection. I feel like in the bottle you can tell the differences a little bit better, where Sinking Feeling has a slight kind of cornflower blue, while Give It a Swirl is more of that brighter aqua kind of shade. So yeah, here you can see just how bright it is. It's just so white based and almost neon, but it's not a neon. At least I wouldn't call it that. So since that one's so bright, I thought it would be worth comparing it to Essie's Ride the Soundwave from earlier this year. This one is definitely another super bright, almost neon kind of sky blue, but the Essie shade is a lot more white based and more of a true sky blue. So once you see them on the nails, they definitely aren't dupes. The Orly shade definitely has more of that aqua kind of color to it. Then for Don't Sweet It, I wanted to show it next to ILNP's High Score from the somewhat recent Arcade collection. This one is definitely a lot darker and more of a vibrant blue violet kind of shade, so not dupes. I thought maybe something closer would be Olive Ab's Easy from last year's Nostalgia collection. This one is a little bit more muted, but actually it's a lot more muted now that you see it next to Don't Sweet It. I feel like it almost has this gray kind of quality, and it's even more apparent on the nail. So between these three, they are very different shades of purple, so no dupes. Also, quick disclaimer, I think High Score is picking up a little bit more blue here. So while I personally would say Don't Sweet It is more of a blue leaning purple, I figured I could show it next to China Glaze's Left My Heart in Havana, which I would consider a red leaning purple. I don't know if I'm correct in that assessment, but once I swatched these on the nail, I was surprised to see how similar they are. I think you can still tell the difference though, where Don't Sweet It is a little bit more on the blue side, but they're still pretty similar. And lastly, for Taffy To Be Here, I wanted to show this next to OPI's I Quit My Day Job, which is actually the cooler toned pink from the Summer Make the Rules collection compared to Makeout-side that I shared earlier, but this one is still too warm to compare. So I thought for closer comparisons, I have Olive Ab's Rhododendron. This one looks pretty similar in the bottle, but if you've seen me do comparisons with this shade before, you already know how misleading this shade is because it looks so different on the nail. It just looks super dark and dusty compared to Taffy To Be Here, which has this almost neon quality. So I figured I could show it next to China Glaze's Here for the Candy from their Hello Sugar collection earlier this year. I called those bleached neons. So yeah, in the bottle, they might look similar, but unfortunately, these are not dupes like I thought that they would be. The China Glaze shade is just a lot brighter, more of a white-based neon shade, and also a lot more pink leaning. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for Orly's Sweet Retreats collection. So I know I'm super late to the party, but I still would love to know what you all thought of this collection when it came out. Did you end up grabbing it, or did you grab it later on when they had a sale like I did? Because I definitely think this was worth getting. I just love the collection theme. I love these shades, this color palette. It's so fun. And even though I do have some shades that are very similar, I still don't think this was like a waste of money necessarily, but I could see how maybe I could go without, especially the two lighter shades, just because formula wise, I didn't really love them. But at the same time, they just like make this whole color palette. So it would just feel weird to not grab these two. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think about that. But yeah, as far as my experience trying the Breathable line. Overall, I did like it. Like, it wasn't that different formula wise because I wasn't sure what to expect necessarily compared to Orly's regular formulas. But if you aren't familiar with their Breathable line, it's basically formulated in a way to allow oxygen and water to permeate through the polish so it can reach your nail plate. And I believe they also advertise this in a way to not use base coat or top coat. Personally, I can't do that. I'm just so used to wearing base coat. I feel like the nail polish just wouldn't last on me if I don't wear it. I mean, that's what base coat is like formulated for. But even skipping top coat, I personally don't love the idea of that, especially with these polishes because they ended up drying down a little bit satiny. So I'm not sure if it was just this finish because they are like these really bright neon kind of shades, and those usually have a more satin or almost matte kind of finish. But yeah, I definitely would recommend wearing top coat just because I feel like it makes it pop so much more. It's obviously gonna make your manicure last a lot longer if you don't skip base coat or top coat. So I totally understand the need for breathable or halal nail polish. If you need something like that, then Orly's Breathable line is definitely like a great thing, but I'm kind of confused by some claims. I don't remember if I saw this from Orly directly or just another brand that offers breathable nail polishes, but just the claim around water reaching your nail plate being healthier for your nails, I didn't think that was true. I mean, I really admittedly haven't researched that much into it, but from everything that I've known from just painting my nails and caring for my nails for several years, I've always heard that water is really bad for your nails because once your nails absorb water, it just creates like, they just become super bendy and weak, and it can cause them to be brittle. And that's why you want to oil your nails, because that'll keep them stronger and more flexible, and oil will repel water because that's bad for your nails. So I don't know, it just is like a weird thing that I saw. I don't know if that's just, you know, a marketing thing for people to say, oh, you know, breathable nail polish is healthier for your nails because it allows the water to come in. But again, I just always heard that water is not good for your natural nails. So I'm really curious what you all think about that too. But aside from all of that, I still did enjoy these polishes. I think they're really pretty formula wise. They weren't bad, you know, some of the shades didn't really impress me, but I really love them. I think mainly for the colors. And yeah, I'm gonna be using these with base and top coat because I don't really have a need for halal nail polish personally, but you'll have to let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.